Welcome back. This is Life in Cyber. Let's do it.
Like, that's how you look on most of these.
Nothing goes over his head. He would catch it.
Nothing goes over the head. I would catch it.
Exactly. I love Drax. I just don't remember him saying that.
Is that supposed to be your inner, like, being? Like, hey, my spirit animal is Drax. Like, really?
I'm invisible.
Hey, there's a lot of people that find him relatable. It's not.
Here, it's very relatable.
Light on me.
I will put a spotlight on me. That's bright. I can't do that.
Rocket Raccoon is really my spirit.
Put that lampshade back down. What are you doing?
Do I turn it to the ceiling? Oh. That's not so bad. It's a shadow behind me, but that's okay.
Oh, good. Career regerts.
Regerts.
Career regerts. Do you regert shit? I regert.
Regerts.
No regerts, no man. No man.
Well, I think we all have regerts, right? Especially when it comes to our career and as we moved into this, because most of us were introverts when we began. Shannon still kind of is, even though he says he's an extrovert. And I know for sure, if I had to go back and do things over again, I have a list, right, guys? I mean, you see my list. It's pretty long.
It is. It is.
There's some things I would do over. But I'm pretty
No. Shannon is perfect, is what he told us. That's what he always told
He's a delight.
He's a delight.
I mean, I'd swallow my pride a lot sooner than I have.
Did you have to say it that way?
Yeah.
Man. He's swallowing his pride, and hopefully that's all he's swallowing.
That's
Everyone
another
likes their own
regret.
brand.
Shouldn't have said that on while it's being recorded.
Whatever. How would you like swallow your pride? What do you mean by that? You got any stories that you can back that up with?
No, I think just more in the sense that, you know, I've always prided myself in coming up from little and just doing everything myself and not really asking for help, just figuring things out. And I think if I just asked for help or just found, you know, almost like partners in crimes in every little project that I tried to do, you know, things would just have worked out better. I probably would have had a bigger network than I have now because, you know, I learned to trust others more than I currently do.
Right. I think a lot of people forget that technology and just in general is a team effort. You're normally not by yourself. Even if you're a team of one out there, right, in your own technology firm, you're not a team of one because when you come across a problem, what do you instantly do? Most of us Google it, right?
Yep.
So finding those networks and those teams that you can rely on. So like when you need some help, even if it's a Reddit post, like somebody out there that can help you, I think is definitely something that I would totally agree with.
Josh ain't got no friends.
He ain't got no friends, man.
I tell my wife that all the time. I'm like, you're my best friend because I got no other ones.
What?
Rude. You moved away from us.
What?
No. I joke about it because you guys are so far away. My wife will be like, I'm going to go out with the friends tonight. I was like, good for you. I don't have any. I'm here all alone. On the couch, all alone.
No one here
To be fair, I do the same thing.
me.
Right.
All goofy movie style. All alone.
I think one of my...
I want to watch the Goofy movie now. Sorry.
One of my regerts... I'll say I learned this early on, and I've since corrected it. I expected everyone to hustle the same way that I hustle. And so during let's go to like education cycles during fall break, spring break, winter break, like those kinds of things. I'm like, that's project time. Nobody's here. We got to hammer something out. We got to take advantage of the fact that we can make a change and we can do something and make something better. And everybody's like, I want to take a nap. Like, no, we don't do naps here. You know, it was just, and it wasn't really coming from anywhere specific. I wasn't like grumpy about anything. I didn't actually like belittle anyone, but it was one of those where like I just thought that being the most productive was the best way to move the organization forward. And I learned that actually there's an optimal amount of productivity and it is not 100%. And that's something that I've since corrected. I encourage everyone to take time off. I encourage breaks. I approve everything without question, that kind of stuff these days. But it took me a while to learn that. And it took me burning myself out to realize what they were going through. Right. And I found like really the heart of that as a manager was a lack of empathy. And obviously empathy is a learned skill, by the way. If you think that you have to be born with it, it's not true. You can develop it. Just all you have to do is give a damn about someone for 5 seconds. It doesn't take that much. So,
well, it's a soft skill, right? It's definitely a soft skill, and a lot of our industry is hard skill driven. But really, without the soft skills, you're going to have the Nick Burns of Saturday Night Live sitting in your IT department.
Well, now I joke around that I call myself hyper productive, which by Silicon Valley terms, it's not true. But what I do is I'm productive in like 20-minute bursts. And for those 20 minutes, I'll get more done than what some people can do in a whole day. But then for the rest of the day, I'm useless.
It's better than the 34 seconds. Jeez. 20 minutes, man? That's great.
I think my biggest problem was with soft skills, looking back. Like I had a deep desire to be, what's the word that I'm looking for here? Like I wanted to be accepted by everybody. And it put this incredible pressure on myself. Like I have to be liked by every single group and
people
I have
pleaser.
to fit in and I have to make everything right. And if that meant that I had to make inappropriate jokes or use sarcasm at the wrong time, those types of things got me into a lot of trouble. I like to think of my career as in like developmental stages. Like I started out as an infant. That's, before college, your high school job, things like that, your first college job. And then you have the teenage years, and then you have your adult years, and then the years that you kind of say, screw it. And those are what I think retirement years are like, is when you approach that, that's when you get to the fuck it mode and you're like, okay, I'm done. I like to think I'm at the end of my teenage years going into my adult years now, as far as my career.
I like that point you just made about the years. Like if we're to think about it that way, like I would feel like our 20s are kind of our blunder years. It's where we're trying to like figure out how to be an adult at the same time of figuring out how to be a professional at the same time of figure out what our career is and all of these things. Like when I made those mistakes, for what I was talking about, it was my first time being a manager. I was 24. I think 24 is too young to do that stuff sometimes. I didn't even know how to feed myself. How am I supposed to tell these people what to do?
We used to feed you just random things from the fridge, and you would just
remember
eat it.
this, actually. I actually got $10 from someone for eating a piece of chocolate that we found on the ground. We don't know how long it was there.
Gross.
No regerts on that one, and I did not get sick. I actually just cracked a joke the other day with some of my students where I said the way to deal with pizza is to leave it out on the counter for 3 days. And then, like, if you're worried about it being gross, just throw it in the microwave for a minute. That'll kill the bacteria. And then anything else, like, you just have to be grosser than it. Like, if your gut biome can defeat whatever bacterias come in, you're stronger. Just be better.
I'm a warrior.
Great words of Kelly Clarkson.
So now all of them think I'm disgusting, and I'm here for it. I think it's great.
I mean, you put cereal back in the fridge with milk in it, so...
Hey, you kept it cold, man. I ate it when I got back. Man. I like soggy cereal.
What? No regrets.
What's the difference between soggy cereal and oatmeal, Mr. Oatmeal John?
I like
oatmeal. I know you like oatmeal. It's the same thing.
Texture is different.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I'm not seeking your feedback, Kenny, and that is one of my biggest regrets. So I think if I had to go back around, and I was kind of like Josh, I didn't want to work with a team, and most of the time I never asked for feedback. I was perfect. And Shannon could attest to this, although he would trick me into doing his work for him sometimes.
That's still out for
I've
debate.
learned better from that, Shannon. I don't do that anymore. I can do it, and I'm not going to do your work to prove you wrong. Anyway, so I was looking for seeking feedback, and if I had to go back, ask feedback often and to everybody. Not only to your boss and to anyone around you, but as you complete things, like, how am I doing? Is there anything I can do better? And not only just seeking feedback, but be open with where you want to be in the future. I've learned that a lot of people are really scared to tell their company that, hey, I want to move on. I want to be bigger than I am today. And how do I get there? Could you help me get there? And 9 times out of 10, the companies are going to be there to be like, yeah, we want to invest in you. But I was too scared to speak up. I think that was one of my biggest regrets. Regerts. I'm sorry, guys. I screwed up the regerts.
Pronounce it correctly.
I'm sorry, regerts. It's one of my biggest regerts is asking people around me for feedback. Like whether it's users, whether or not that's your mom, it doesn't really matter who it is. Just like, hey, how can I be a better person? Because I was with Shannon. My soft skills sucked at the beginning. I probably was a Nick Burns a lot of times. I'm like, man, are you really that dumb that you can't figure this out? Let me just do that for you. But, if I had to go back, definitely something I would work on. And so I think that's one thing why I want to keep on with this book club that Kenny and I have been doing. And I really, really, want to like put a call to action out there for everybody to say, join us with the book club, because although some of the books are really dry and they can be boring, you come in to the end of the book and you're like, wow, I never thought about it that way. And even to this day, I think we're going to find those going on and on as we move on.
Agreed.
Hi.
Are you eating your microphone?
I was going to eat my mic, but let's go with it.
I hate my friends.
I mean, feedback, I think, goes back to the career age as well. I think when we're younger, when we're in our 20s, it's like, we take feedback in the wrong way. We might look at it and be like, why is this guy telling me I suck? I don't suck. When they're probably just like, hey, you could do this slight little thing better. So. Well,
and I want to add to that too. Like, there's one thing that I don't know if any of you were like in gifted programs growing up, but that was something that I was put in, and it kind of isolated me from everyone. So I didn't really get a chance to develop those soft skills. So this is kind of a life regert, not a career regert. But I was put into those programs as a child, and then I was given an opportunity like skip a grade and all that stuff when I was younger. And I didn't really like develop socially because of this, but a lot of what I was fed was, you're so smart. You're so good at this. You're so good at school. You're so blah, blah, blah. That when I got to what John is talking about, why would I hear anything else? And then it became a part of who I am. It became my identity. And so now I have this crippling fear of failure as an adult because of all of these things of people just shoving it down my throat of like, you're the smartest, you're the bestest, you're the coolest kid ever, but you don't have any friends because we have to pull you out of all of that so we could take exams all day, every day to figure out all the things you know. And it took years of development, social development, while I was a child away from me. And I know that that's true for a lot of gifted kids. That's something that we hear about a lot in therapy sessions, really. But you hear a lot of psychologists talk about that. Like, that lack of social skills sometimes is that identity of, I'm smart. And then when you think you're smarter than everyone else, all of a sudden, how are you going to be friends with them? And as humans, like, developing those relationships is really the most important part. The rest of it isn't that important.
It's pretty valid. I can see that. I can see it. No regrets, though.
I think that's something that too many people get coddled, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm one of those who refuse to coddle my kids. I will tell them when they're doing something wrong. Mainly due to the fact is they need to have that thick spine. They need to understand how to deal with constructive criticism. And they sometimes need to figure out when to technically talk back, when to say, what do you mean? No, I did this right. What are you talking about? And question not just me, but question society as a whole. Like they need to be able to have those skills. And I think that's still part of those soft skills. We keep coming back to soft skills quite often. And I think it's because in technology, we're known as the nerdy geeks that, don't talk well to girls. Sorry. Maybe other than Shannon. I think Shannon's
great with girls, actually.
He's great. So Yeah. Don't agree, Shannon? What's going on here? I mean, I think we need a new person.
You know, statistically, 50% of the time, I was right.
100% of the time.
No, I had another girl once, and that was wrong, but I got the right one now. So the 2 times that I went after it.
All the other times, they came after him, so that's just what
I
it
think
was.
we caught him off
You
guard,
know.
guys.
Oh, okay.
I didn't expect to go down that alleyway.
Oh.
Alley.
I think we really like
Threw him off right
We
off the
derailed
bat.
Shannon
Just bam.
Maybe a little blush.
Oh, I think something else that we could talk about a bit is exactly that is we get way too much in our comfort zone.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about you guys. I've 20 years in the industry and I'm over here going, there's a few years in there. I don't think I did much other than play video games. I don't know if any of you guys have anything like that to partake with.
Those were college years.
Bullshit, Shannon. Look in the mirror. Come on, we could talk about this.
I think complacency.
How does that make you feel, Shannon?
What?
I'm going to stop calling on Shannon because he's not answering me
I think
anymore.
complacency is a bit of a killer, right? Like this is something where we all kind of just can easily fall into a routine where maybe we're stressed out, maybe we've got a lot going on in life, or maybe we're just tired. That's possible too. And then you just kind of go in and go through the motions. But what's interesting is when you do that, you kind of lose track of time. And I've found that I've done that, and then I've woken up like, quote unquote, 2 years later. I'm like, how did I get here? What am I doing? And so this is why I actually really like working with students. It keeps me fresh. It keeps me from doing that. Because all I'm doing with them is because they're constantly thinking like, what's my next move? What's my growth opportunity? What's my options? Because they're graduating soon and they can't work for me once they graduate, right? And so they're always talking to me about that. And then that makes me think, am I still learning? Am I still growing? What's next for me too, right? And it helps me stay fresh on that regard. But I would say that that's a luxury that I have by working in education. How many of you have that as an opportunity? Shut up, John.
I have it now, man. I have it now. But no, I hear where you're coming from because, as I said, I was in the private industry for so long, right? I worked for Dish. I worked for Dish Network, and all it was completing one project and getting to the next project. Did I have time to learn what the next new technology was? No. Did I have time to take care of my own self and my own mental health and go to the gym? No. Why do you think I went to education? I found there's a problem with me. I need someone to help push me, and the students are doing that now. I've only been here now full time about a month now, but I've night and day difference, man. Night and day difference. And so when I say falling into a comfort zone, I agree with it 100% because there are times where when you're working hard, you go to the gym, you're like, man, I've been working hard and everything. You look at the clock, you've been 20 minutes. Why? Because you don't want to be there. But if I'm playing video games, like you said, 6 months later, I'm like, wow, I got 1,000 hours in Overwatch. What the hell have I been doing? Oh, well, I've been playing Overwatch, right? And I think we all are prone to getting into our little comfortable spots, whether or not that's on the couch, wherever it is. We need to find time that we need to step aside from that and still better ourselves, whatever it may be.
That's a lot of self-discipline. That's easy to forget about.
Very much. Self-discipline, that's a hard one.
It is.
Is that on anybody's list, self-discipline? Because that's a good one. I'm bad at it.
I'm very bad at discipline. I have a lot of things that I know I need to do, but if I have to choose between working or reading or studying or working out, I would choose everything before working out. I cannot get the discipline. Hey, I need to go work out now. Go and do it. I struggle with that. I would rather self-improve in all of the other areas or work before working
If you laid out all of those things and told me to pick one, I would just go take a nap. Not right now these days. I'm actually doing good. But there have been some times in my life where you would offer hey, go to work, read a book, go work out, go do something productive, and I'd be like, "Nah, I'm good."
Mm-hmm.
Problem is you take a nap, you got to wake up eventually.
Yep.
Takes a couple of years in my case sometimes.
I stopped taking naps. I used to take what I used to call my old man nap. And I stopped doing that because I found out that I was so unproductive because of them. Because the moment I went to bed, I got up, I didn't do crap. I got up and watched TV, you know, like I wouldn't even go over there and do the dishes. I wouldn't do anything that needed to get done because I took a nap. I was groggy. But if I stay up, I found that I do better. And then I just need to make sure I get like 8 hours of sleep, right? I just need to make sure that I can get those 8 hours in. So I don't know if you guys find the same problems, but naps are like detrimental for my productivity. I've learned
Naps
Same.
destroy me. Yeah.
And I generally wake up with a headache.
Yeah,
Like,
and grumpy sometimes, right?
Yeah.
The wife's like, why are you so grumpy? You know, you're like, shut up, I just woke up.
Took
Like,
a
leave
nap.
me alone. You know, and next thing you know, you got a wife that's mad at you. You know, it's not worth it.
It's a vicious cycle.
It's not worth it.
I mean, you fall asleep on the couch and you want to sleep. You don't need a wife there constantly asking you questions and poking you because you're snoring. Can't you see I am sleeping? Leave me alone, Allie.
What time is it
Maybe
when you're
you need-
sleeping?
Whenever I fall asleep.
You know, you do fall asleep and snore on the couch a lot when I'm visiting, and it's not because I'm boring, because I'm not.
Yeah, well, I have an art. I can fall asleep with my youngest sitting on my knees, the dog sitting on my shoulders, and the girl above my head typing on a keyboard. So, but I
Gift.
can't concentrate when I study. I can fall asleep with all of that going on around me and Cameron singing all kinds of songs, but I can't concentrate if there's any noise going on when I'm trying to study.
So you can do a full mental shutdown. You just can't do like a partial, like ignore everything.
No.
You can't turn the blinders on.
And
Yeah.
I think that's because I get lost so easily when I'm reading. Like I'll end back up at the beginning of the paragraph somehow and I'll be like, how did I get here? I was
No,
down
I get
there.
that. I have a hard time reading like a very technical thing and be able to follow it. That's why I love videos so much. Videos are king, if you ask me. But at the same time, something that I've starting to learn on that as well is if I've been just sitting around in a chair forever, I can't focus. I literally have to go do like jumping jacks or a couple push-ups, and then all of a sudden my brain's like, "Hey, look, I can focus for the next 15 minutes." It's just I find that we get too stagnant with our lives.
Too much.
I don't know. Maybe you want to try it. I don't know if it works. It works. If it doesn't, whatever. You did some push-ups. Good for you.
Too much time sitting on your ass.
Yeah.
That's what it's for.
I think we all
That's
think-
why you have it.
Thought it was
Is
for
that why
pooping.
you have your ass? Is
But
that
you
what
gotta
you're
Yes.
tone it a little bit.
My
Give it
debate.
some shape.
Let's start this debate. Asses are for sitting, okay?
pooping?
I
That
don't.
too.
I don't
What's
know.
just sitting?
It's just
Do you
sitting
poop
and
standing,
also
Shannon?
What?
Do you poop standing?
I've been known to.
actually facts.
Oh my.
Speaking of
my.
Shannon, I haven't heard you mention a regert yet. Give us a regert.
I did talk about regerts.
He talked about one, guys. Come on. Kenny needs to work on his memorization
Yeah.
skills.
Yeah, one.
No, I talked about my life cycle of my career here. You know, I had a really deep desire of being liked and appreciated.
Yeah.
Some of the other things that I got into that I didn't really realize weren't funny in my career was practical jokes.
Ooh.
And I think that goes back to college jobs when we played jokes on each other all the time. My brain registered as, oh, I can do this at every career I have. That's not true. People actually don't like that. And if you make jib jab videos with other people's corporate photos, they do not like that.
That's actually
Especially
a
if
really good one. Pranks in the workplace. Yeah.
Yeah, pranks in the workplace is not acceptable. And it has taken me a really long time. Like, I did not recognize this until I was at like 30, 33, that this was not acceptable. behavior. And again, my infant to teenage years in my careers were pretty terrible. And I was always wondering, like, why am I getting in trouble? Everyone likes me. I was like, I get along with everyone.
I'm a delight.
I'm able to laugh with everyone. If I can make you laugh, then it's not offensive, correct? But sometimes
It reminds me of that Peter Griffin scene where, you know, Peter was in trouble with Lois and he made Lois laugh and he goes, "Ha, you laughed," and he ran away real fast.
Exactly.
That was Shannon. Absolutely.
Listen, everyone loves the class clown except for the teachers. So.
You know, and honestly, it took me a long time to figure that out. And now I'm going through a lot of self-reflection, like maybe my sarcasm and quick wit is not a good thing all the time. So I'm having to internalize that and be like, okay, this person doesn't need to know that they're a dumbass right now. Just maybe not say anything.
Maybe don't make that your mom joke this time.
Or at least get to know them for like 5-6 years before you start dropping some of those.
Even then, if you feel like you've known somebody for a really long time, all it takes is for them to be in a bad mood that one day, and then it's going to trigger them.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of reflection that I've had on that is coworker friends are coworker friends. I've had one coworker friend that I have let into my inner circle, and they have actually become a family friend. The majority of the other people that I work with, I never hang out with outside of work. It's not for lack of trying. It's just coworker friends are coworker friends. You're friends at the workplace. You very rarely get together outside of the workplace.
Well, and let me put that into a different, like, I guess, perspective. You already spend how many hours a day with them? Do you really want to spend some more?
Yes, because I want to see what happens when I feed them alcohol, or I want to experiment and see how far down the rabbit hole can go with some of these people
For
and,
science.
You know, figure out if there's actual chemistry there to where we can be work friends beyond the workplace.
Right.
No,
I don't actually believe what I just said, by the way. I have plenty of work friends that are friends outside of work as well. Just for the record.
And I think
they'll call you on it tomorrow.
Yeah. They're going to watch this later and be like, "Shut the fuck up, Kenny." Sorry.
I think it also depends on the society that you live in. Like, I live in a small town, so there's not a lot to do around here. Most people would rather spend that time with their family. Kenny lives in a big city, so you can kind of come and go as you want.
Yeah, we do happy hours every so often. I'm going to one tomorrow, actually. It happens. But it's easy to just walk down the street or go across the street and go enjoy a happy hour at a nice restaurant and go home at 6 o'clock and still be home at a reasonable time, right? It's different for you because that's not really convenient in your town. You all have to like agree to drive somewhere. And once people get in their cars, they're going home. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah. Well, I find a lot of people out there are not genuine either. I think a lot of people in IT get along so well because we actually are very genuine. Like, we will make fun of each other quite often. And I think that's what's different about our industry. You go to other industries, you know, they're nice to your face, but they really don't want to see you outside of work. They don't care. You know, and so there's like a difference in philosophy and company cultures depending on where you're at. So I think academia is a little different, Kenny. Like, I've noticed a big big change even here is a lot of people are actually very genuine here as well. They actually do want to hang out. They want to do what's better and what's best for everybody. But it's almost like they're in a self-service job that they kind of have a different mentality with it. Versus the guy in the private industry is there for the paycheck.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Like, it's one of the reasons why I went back to education as well, is the motivation is different, right? Like, I used to work in consulting and it was always about like chasing the dollar. It was about how can we make billable hours? And I was like, I don't want to care about billable hours. I want to care about helping people. And going back to education kind of changed that for me and made it better. So yeah, I think really it comes down to like, what are the incentives? We're incentivized to help students because that's why we're there. That's why everyone is there. And that's why we get paid. It changes things. It changes the way that we work. It changes the way that we socialize. It changes how you feel about yourself when you go home. It's a big difference. It really is.
And you get that motivation because of the workplace that you're in. Like the worst workplace that I'm in right now, I was talking to someone. I told them that I recently took a certification. I got the certification, and maybe during their downtime, they should study too and try and better themselves. Their answer to me was, well, I'm not going to do that unless work pays for me to do that. So you don't want to better yourself?
Some people
That
don't.
kind of goes back to that discipline.
Some people don't.
Like some people don't.
That was actually a hard thing, and maybe this is a regret. I don't know. I'll talk about it anyway, and maybe you guys can help me decide. I had a manager once who told me, because I was evaluating some of my staff, and there was one person who I wasn't sure if I was disappointed or not, but they would just come in, do exactly what they're told, nothing more, nothing less. And when you like give them a list of to-do lists, they would go and get them done, and they would do them just fine. But if you didn't provide that list, they would do nothing. And it would frustrate me because I'm not that kind of a manager. I like to just let people do things. I like people to take initiative. I like to just kind of be kind of hands off and just roll with people who are creative and start problem solving and work autonomously. This was not an autonomous person. And I went to my manager and I said, I don't know what to do about this person. And she told me straight up, she's like, some people just want to come in, do their job and go home, and that's okay. And that resonates in my head every day. And I'm like, is it okay? The answer is yes, but still, it bothers me because that's not how I am.
Well, you are really, the bar is high for you, Kenny, and that's definitely the way that a lot of us are in the industry for. But there are going to be those people that are going to be the steady eddies, is what I like to call those people, who just do the bare minimum, what they need to do their job. And really, can we really fault them at that? You know, they're there for a paycheck, they're getting what they need done, and they can move on. Not everyone's going to be a go-getter, right? But to be honest, I'm sorry, I still need people to go flip the burgers at McDonald's because not every one of them are going to be in IT. There wouldn't be enough jobs. So I think everyone's got a place.
Right.
So if you do get into a management role in the future, I do recommend, taking a step out, and does everyone fill a role? If everyone fills a role, be happy with it, man. You can't be any better than that.
So I think what you need to identify there, I know a person like this, but they only do that because they are scared that they're going to mess something up, or, they're afraid that they're going to take that chance and it's going to mess up.
Yep.
So if they're doing it just because that's the way they want to be and they want to be status quo, then that's fine. But if they're doing it because they're afraid to make a leap, I think there's a coaching opportunity there to where you can be like, it's okay to fail.
Oh, yeah.
I've had employees like that, and I've had to come to them and say, hey, listen, we're in this field for a reason. I want you to make a mistake because then you can learn to fix it. That's how I learned best. Make the mistakes, learn from them.
Yep. I literally just had this talk with a student like 2 days ago.
I think it was a book you guys suggested, or one of you suggested, Fell Fast and Fell Often.
That was a me one.
Is that the name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a great book.
It's kind of that philosophy. But sometimes you need to push people off the cliff and set them up for failure just to watch them grow.
I don't set people up for failure, but I don't hold their hand either, right? Like if they're walking towards the cliff, that's okay. Like if somebody's walking over and they're about to throw their hand on a hot stove, how do you learn it's hot?
Darwinism, population control.
I was that stupid kid when I was like 7 years old. I walk up and my mom's cooking and I'm just like, is that hot? Ah! She's like, what did you think was going to happen? No, I don't know.
I thought you were one of the smart ones, Kenny.
Hey, there's a
book smart, common sense dumb.
Exactly. There's a difference between being book smart and having common sense. All of my like common sense outside of like education was learned through failure.
I want to say it was Peyton, my daughter, when she was little, like learning how to crawl, things like that, milestones. She went up and she just started banging her head like up against the wall. And I want to say I read an article that that's a sign of intelligence. And I was reading it. I'm like, how is that a sign of intelligence?
Here, hold this plate.
But
sorry.
Allegedly it is.
It's not the banging against the wall. It's more seeing the frustration in them, because I saw that with my oldest, Josh. he would try to crawl, and every time he fell, he would just be like, "Ugh!" like, and get himself back up and try again. Like, he would get so pissed off, and he still does that to this day. If he fails, he gets angry at himself and then tries again. And I love seeing that. But
I want to see that face again. Can you do that again for me?
Yes. Just go Super Saiyan.
I would see
Is that
him
why
on the
you like
floor.
Dragon Ball Z so much? Because Ali told us you like Dragon Ball Z, so
Listen,
that's where he's getting that from.
it was a nice callback to my kid days, my days back in like middle school, high school. And so they came out with, they dubbed Super, the continuation of it, and I watched it. So I watched it on Hulu, kind of binge watched it for a few months. It's like 100 and something episodes, so it took a while. But yeah, maybe it was some kind of like passed on memory.
I don't know, those epic battles, man.
I think Josh was one of those kids on the playground putting his arms in the air, being like, "I'm adding to the spirit bomb." Ah!
I wouldn't go that far. I guess my biggest regret, I would have to say, out of all these lists, and John definitely put it on his, is networking. I think that's the introvert in myself, and all of us, especially starting off, like John said, I think we've all started that way. I still don't do it very well. I don't know. I'm just not. I have a very small circle, so I'm not one to like be fake with somebody and be like, yeah, let's be friends, when I'm really just like, hey, acquaintance, and then just move on.
Hey, person, I think I know their name.
I'm
Mortal.
I
I need you for this one thing.
I would challenge that a little bit. Like, you don't have to be fake to build a network.
No.
I agree, but like, I don't know. I'm also one when it comes to friendships. Like, I can pick up where we left off. I know that's not everybody. Like, I have friends from high school where if I see them tomorrow, I'm going to pick off where we left off. And we're just going to have like chats and talk and see how each other went. But like, I could not see them for 5 years, call them up tomorrow, and then we chat for like an hour. Like, that's just the way I am. And I know with a lot of people that I've met, they're not like that. They're more like, what do you want to talk to me for? We haven't spoken in 5 years. Okay, I'll move on then.
I think you and I were one of those people. Didn't we go for a few years stint and then just jump right back in like nothing happened? And it wasn't for any particular reason. It's just you moved to New York, I moved to Denver, we both got busy.
He moved to New York, Kenny. It was for a freaking reason.
Didn't even come back for weddings. Rude.
I mean, we got I-25 connecting all of us. What do we got with Spanish over here? Come on.
70 or 76?
A series of highways.
Actually true. Objectively correct.
Only for Kenny in Spanish. 70 doesn't connect me. Okay.
I could just catch a plane and be there in like 3 hours.
That's true. That's true. Don't let him off the hook so easy, Kenny. Come on.
He could have came here in like 3 hours too, but no, he was busy.
It's 4.5.
Wet feet.
He was busy making 4 children is what he was doing.
It was fun.
Talking about regerts.
Speaking of regrets.
No regrets there.
Only the last
No
two.
regrets there.
It's fine.
No regrets. Nah, mean.
How was that?
Nah, mean.
I'm like, has anybody said that since like 2004?
Nah, mean.
Wow.
Yeah, we're a little bit old.
Showing our age a little bit, but that's
Man.
fine.
From a
I can't
distance,
believe
you
we already
think
have
the
book
older guy
suggestions
here.
for March. Come on, guys. We're not in February yet.
I
That's
threw that
tomorrow.
in because of what Shannon said.
I like it. I think it's good.
What did I say?
Alright.
Did I do a thing?
Of wanting to please people.
You did a thing.
So I suggested a book.
I think we'll have to go with that, but we'll have to keep it a secret for
Yep.
now.
Yeah.
Sure.
Shannon's lost. Look at our chat, Shannon.
Which one? Are you guys on GChat?
Our secret chat.
I think Shannon took a nap.
I think that wraps up another episode of Life at Cyber. Share your regrets in the comments below. Regerts, Share your regerts in the comments below.
You screwed that up.
No regrets. Keep it going.
Speaking of regerts.
Like, subscribe.